and content preferences. Just before we jump in, I'd like to take a step back and share with you a short video which explains who we are and what we do. Hi guys.
In the beginning, there was the internet. But it was never built for kids. Just imagine what they're exposed to. The internet can track people everywhere, and it can't tell if the content and ads are being watched by a child or an adult. With over 170,000 children going online for the first time every day, how do we make the internet safer for them? This is exactly why we started Super Awesome. Our Kid Tech platform makes it easier for developers, content owners, and brands to create safe, responsible digital experiences for children everywhere, guaranteeing their digital privacy and safety. Today, our technology is used by hundreds of companies and thousands of amazing apps, games, and websites to engage with over 500 million children globally every month. Super Awesome, making the internet safer for kids.
So in the soundtrack, you've heard two references to Super Awesome. This is our parent company, which we operate under in the US and Europe. In Asia, we're Totally Awesome. Headquartered in London and founded in 2013, in Asia Pacific we have offices in Singapore, Australia, Indonesia, India, Japan, the Philippines and Vietnam. Our core focus is to protect children online, which we do so by guaranteeing their digital privacy and safety. When we look at privacy, this is governed by the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, which is the foundation for all children's legislation. It's based out of the States and it prohibits the collection of data for children under the age of 13. Last year we saw the General Data Protection Regulation for Kids launch in May, and then close to home we saw China, Vietnam, Thailand introduce a standard for data collection. Korea will introduce the Personal Data Protection Act in January of next year. If you breach the legislation, you'll be fined 2% of global earnings. And as recently as last night, Prime Minister Modi approved the Personal Data Protection Bill, which will prohibit the collection of data for under 16s, I understand. So what we're seeing in terms of compliance is kids' digital privacy rights on the rise, with legislation being passed to protect more and more kids globally. So moving on now to look at how their media consumption habits are changing. Television is no longer the family campfire it used to be. While screen time is increasing, this is no longer limited to one screen. And evidence of this is looking at how the audiences are moving away from the single screen. This is a US-based slide. If you look at the US population, we can see viewing declining by 17%. If we look at children aged 2 to 11, we see that double. And for children aged 12 to 17, we see the gap widen even more. So where are they going? Quite simply, based on UNICEF numbers, we see 170,000 children going online for the first time every day. And then when we look at the total new internet users in 2018, nearly half of these were children. So based on data from our 2019 Kids Digital Insights, we asked the children aged 4 to 16, working with a sample of 4,480 children between the ages of 4 to 16, if you could choose only the internet or only television, which would you choose? 80% said they'd choose only the internet. If we look at the individual 14 APAC markets, we see year-on-year growth ranging from 2% in Hong Kong to 17% in Korea. So now moving on to the digital family. Generation Z were individuals born from 2005 to 2009, and they've surpassed millennials. Generation Alpha are those born from 2010. With 2.5 million born around the globe each week, Generation Alpha is set to account for 2 billion of the world's population in 5 years' time. This group are logged in, linked up digital natives. In 2010 was the year the iPad was launched, the year the iPad was released and the year Instagram was launched. So these are screen ages in the making. The rules of engagement have changed, and you need to ensure that communication with this complex audience reflects this, engaging on their terms. They've grown up with digital and fragmented ecosystems. Personalisation and purpose are paramount. They're used to complex storytelling and complete immersion. They demand authenticity. They're purpose-driven with high expectations and expect more from all engagements. If we look at the digital home, they're surrounded by personal tech or shared tech, ranging from mobile devices through to home speakers through to smart TVs. Their days are bookended by tech. We see kids starting the day with a screen and finishing the day with audio. The emergent trend is being driven by the parents and children in an effort to cut down screen time, but also with the growing popularity of audiobooks and streaming. There are multiple touch points across the day, and for the time-pressured and censored children, the weekend offers more of an opportunity to spend longer time consuming all forms of tech content. And we see this in Asia Pacific as well. Looking at the activities, whether it's using the internet, watching TV, smart TV or reading books, they're consuming more during the weekends. And they're multitasking. If we look at this in more detail by country, year on year we see multitasking declining in each market with the exception of Korea. We think this is mainly because they're so used to multitasking that they don't even realise that they're doing it. And this increases with age. In terms of the combinations, we see mobile be a part of each combination, whether it's paired with smartphone, linear TV, laptop, or tablet. In terms of their favourite devices, they tell us mobile are their favourite devices. And when it comes to ownership, we see high levels of ownership, with 57% owning a smartphone, 51% a laptop, 50% a tablet, 47% desktop, 27% smart TV, and 25% linear TV. And then when we look at their use multiple times across the day, as they age up, their mobile devices become more central to their lives. Now focusing on their content preferences. Like their media habits, we see fragmentation in the content they consume. We can see it's clear that they enjoy high-quality, long-form content with Netflix. We see 3/4 of children watching more stream TV than linear, and we expect these findings to change with the launch of Disney+. In more detail, in terms of the US and the UK, We see here for more mature markets with YouTube taking a lead. In Germany, pretty much parity when you look at linear television and YouTube. In Spain, parity between Netflix, YouTube and linear TV. And then France and Italy, we see them being more traditional markets with linear TV leading. And then closer to home, in terms of Asia Pacific, we can see here that on the left we have aided awareness where we shared the logos with the children. And we can see a slight decline in YouTube year on year, but increases with your international channels. And then on the right-hand side, this is unaided awareness, so an open question where they told us that we're seeing YouTube decline year on year, Netflix increasing. What isn't evident in the bottom right slide is Voo, iFlix and Hook. They come up very strongly in the Hong Kong and Southeast Asia local markets. In terms of the decline in YouTube, we think this is mainly due to parents shaping the children's viewing habits. This year there's been quite a few press stories on children's content. Also, like in Europe, their preference for long-form quality productions. And the fact that children are always looking for the next new platform to engage with their peers. When we look at their favourite YouTube channels in terms of genres, we see cartoons lead the way, followed by video, music, anime, games, K-pop, and funny clips. In terms of branded channels, Disney, Hikakin, the Japanese influencer, and Peppa Pig, to name a few. Then when we look at favourite characters, we see Doraemon and SpongeBob continuing their popularity year on year. We see a lot more fragmentation than the previous year. Also with characters crossing borders, be it Upin Ipin from Malaysia, Chota Behan from India, BTS and Pororo from Korea, or from Japan, Pikachu, Naruto, or Shin-chan. When we look at the influencer space, you can see a combination here of both local and international talent. And again, when we compare year on year, again, in the influencer space, we see more fragmentation and local talent coming to the fore. In terms of kids' content genres they like to watch on video platforms, cartoons followed by short funny clips, music videos, movies and influencer videos. And then in the co-viewing space we see them leaning into movies, cartoons, games, videos and apps. In terms of watching shows, series and videos, we see smart TV closely trailing smartphones. And if we look at that in more detail, the breakdown by market, with the exception of Japan, we see smart TV leading the way. And in terms of the content they're watching on smart TV, cartoons, followed by YouTube, Netflix, movies, a number of different genres. Now I'd like to finish up with ecosystems. There's no longer a linear progression from one platform to another. The craze can start anywhere and then deepen its offer. An example of this is LOL Surprise, the collectible toy, where they launched a branded OTT platform with Super Awesome and Future Today with content on OTT platforms such as Amazon Prime, Roku and Apple TV. We also see YouTubers tapping into the wider ecosystem with multiple touch points to broaden their appeal. If we look at some of the releases in terms of kids and family releases this year, we see very little original content. Instead, we're seeing deepening relationships with favourite content, both on and off screen. So now more than ever, successful brands have developed ecosystem. A broad and deep ecosystem is key to building and sustaining interest with kids. Storytelling and immersion is critical. So to finish up, tech is certainly a daily part of their lives, and you need to consider how this affects your plans of your marketers. The ecosystem is critical to reach this fragmented audience, and OTT certainly has a part to play. And kids are constantly looking for new platforms to communicate with their peers and experiment. Thank you.